she was just amazing that she could just do this. She never had any voice lessons. She would just listen to the radio, and basically she was mimicking the records, because every song she did, she really sounded like a different person, all kind of the same style, but if she was doing a Mariah Carey song, she sounded like Mariah Carey.
But right now I'm introducing myself to different different radio stations and press. I guess the Pittsburgh stations would be B94.
It's B94 and David Edgar here. We had Christina Aguilera at the B94 Summer Stretch concert this past Sunday. Put on a fantastic show. 20,000 people screaming for Christina on B94. With her, she seems to have, I mean, for me, I think it's great to have an artist that has some range and can do a pop song like Genie in a Bottle, but also has, has it in her, has real talent for singing. I think a lot of times you hear artists that are just, put together in a studio, and it didn't get that feeling listening to Christina. Probably 6 months ago, they came to us with a new album, a new CD from her, and said, she's from Pittsburgh, and she's put this whole CD together and listened to this song. That's the first time that we heard Genie in a Bottle. And, the girl's from Pittsburgh, and so we said, well, let's try it on the audience and tell the audience that she's from town. So we asked the record label to bring her here, because apparently she was living in New York, and we asked her to come in and talk to our morning show, and we'd play the song and didn't commit that we would play it any more than that, but just introduce her and see where it went from there, and the response was phenomenal.
I recognized singing as a love, and I knew what I wanted to do. It's just I knew. I think it's my purpose. You know what I mean? So it's cool. It's cool that I've been able to get halfway there so far.
The former Steel City is a tough town to break out of, as the local music scene is mostly punk or bar rock driven. It isn't surprising that a pop act like Christina had to go elsewhere to make it. First to Orlando in Florida, and then to New York with RCA.
Pittsburgh has never really had a reputation as a music town. When people think of music, they think of New York or Los Angeles, or more recently Seattle.
There's a pretty big underground alternative scene that, is pretty much stays underground and alternative. And she's certainly not the sort of artist you'd think would come out of Pittsburgh.
Christina currently only comes home to relax and spends most of her time when she's not touring in New York. It was in a New York record store that she encountered a hero of hers, Bizkit lead singer Fred Durst. Pen and paper in hand, she headed after him for his autograph, and Fred took off thinking she was just another fan.
We haven't had an MTV rock star since 1981, and Donnie Iris with his Love Is Like a Rock. And so when people talk about Pittsburgh and, big-time music production, it always comes back to Donnie Iris.
There's, who's the guy who sings Aaliyah? Donnie Iris. Donnie Iris. I couldn't even remember his name because he has one hit.
Most people here don't consider Christina to be part of the Pittsburgh music scene. Her appearance sort of happening overnight and becoming, an international pop sensation, #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100, has nothing to do with Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh club scene. Then if you look at the situation and you go through, she isn't, in a large degree, she's not from Pittsburgh. Her success is from elsewhere. It would probably be fair to say that she's from Orlando, Florida, because that's where people know her as part of the Mickey Mouse Club.
At 12, she then was hired by Disney to join the Mickey Mouse Club, which was shot in Orlando, and she and her mom moved down there to join Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, who were Mouseketeers at the same time. This is the home of the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Berg's ice hockey team. When the team were in the 1991 playoffs, the then tiny 12-year-old sang the national anthem before each game. And each time she sang, they never lost a game. That season, they actually won the Stanley Cup.
We've kind of followed her career because once she was on our show, she ended up going to the American sporting events and singing our national anthem, which we start every sporting event with. So she sang for our Pittsburgh Steelers and the Pirates and the hockey team. And pretty soon people said, wow, this little girl would be standing out in the field and belting out the national anthem, and she impressed a lot of people. And then she went on to the Disney program as a Mouseketeer, and we did a story about her. And she was still pretty young. And then we found out that she really, really had major league talent. And it wasn't long after that we found out that she did the Milan song. And then I saw her mother worked at a bagel shop just a year ago. And her mother said, do you remember me? And I said, Shelley, how's Christina? She said, oh, she's doing great. She's getting ready to record an album. Who knew that it would be so big? Well, I think when she walked out, people were very polite. They see a little girl, and they expected a little girl to sing the national anthem. But when she sang with such soul that she really captured the hearts of the crowd, and they gave her a raucous ovation. I mean, they went wild. So it was a lot of fun, I'm sure, for her.